Greetings, people of God. Welcome to another Sons of God broadcast. My name is Minister Ron Wilkerson. Trying to see if my video camera is working, but it looks like it's working. I'm dealing with where I'm caught in the crossroads, and what I mean by caught in the crossroads, meaning I got to choose which way I'm gonna go. Cause in the ordinary scheme of things for the child of God, he's going to always be caught between choosing what he sees and what he believes. So that's why the Word of God says we walk by faith and not by sight. But it's a huge situation than we realize. You know, I'm making this tape for me, but I'm going to put it online because I know if it's going to help me, it's going to help somebody else as well. Excuse me, I had to get some water. But the good news is we're going to win this war, the battle between the mind, the soul, the mind, the will, and the emotions, the battle between the soul and the spirit of man. Hebrews 10:9, Yeshua HaMashiach, better known as Jesus Christ, JC, he said, I come to do thy will, O God, to take away the first and establish the second. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, it says that the first man was made a living soul, fleshly, carnal. But the second man, the last Adam, was made a quickening spirit, the Lord from heaven. So we see where he was a quickening spirit, the Lord from heaven. And in my previous video, I made a video and I was talking about how 6 things happened to us as it happened to JC or Yeshua HaMashiach. We were crucified with him. 6 steps for man. We was crucified with him. We died with him. We were buried with him. We were quickened with him. We were raised with him. And now we're seated with him in heavenly places. And I know you may say, you mean to tell me I'm seated in heavenly places? Why am I still experiencing all this pain and misery? Because you just heard this word, this information. You never heard it before, so you can't. Yeshua HaMashiach, better known as JC, said you should know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So you got to know that truth first. So you just heard it today, so you got some work to do. So that truth that you now know, that we were crucified with him, the 6 steps of man. We were crucified with him, we died with him, we were buried with him, we were quickened with him, raised with him, and seated with him right now in heavenly places, even though it don't feel like it. But you got to keep things in order and progression as they go along. He said you should know the truth, and then the truth shall make you free. So you just heard that word today. So now that you know this and believe this, you got to live according to what you know. So once you know that you already died with him, and if you have faith in that and believe that, nobody can come and tell you that you got a disease. If you know and prove it by you having faith in it, and you're willing to lay your life on the line to prove that you have faith in it and you believe it, ain't nothing nobody can do. Because you got to remember what Ephesians chapter 6 said, that faith will quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. All of them, not some of them, all of them. So if we have been made, if we understand and believe and have faith that we are his workmanship created in Yeshua HaMashiach, not Christ Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, and believe that, and believe Ephesians 1:4, we were chosen in him from the foundation of the world. Now, if we were chosen in him from the foundation of the world, how later on in life, when that was way back from the beginning, from the foundation, when did we come out? Because ain't nobody can pluck you out of Father Yah's hand, better known as Yahuwah. God, in other words, the creator. Who's going to pluck you out of his hand? If we were chosen him from the foundation, and then we got to also understand another truth, not what realities we have come to claim from the foundation of the world, and that's from the realm of the spirit where the reality is. From the realities of the spirit, eternity, in eternity's beginning, which was from the foundation of the world, in the realm of the spirit, we were chosen in him, perfect and complete. And since everything that once it becomes to the fullness and perfect and complete in Father Yah, better known as God, then he releases us into the natural physical world so we can experience the perfection that we are in him, were and are in him from the foundation of the world. He put us in time to experience that perfection that we are and were from the foundation of the world. That's the only reason why we was released into the natural, to experience everything that he done already in the realm of the spirit. And so from the realm of the spirit, we were perfect. And so we were put out into the world for Satan to try to deceive us and rob us again of that perfection. Or either as we go with Father Yah, God, we won't hear his voice. We only follow the voice of the shepherd. He said, my sheep hear my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. But when we was born out of that perfection, a child of God anyway, this don't apply to the seed of the serpent. They're going to be deceived and hear his voice, even though they were born out from God, who is perfection. But they fell. When the fall of Adam fell, they stayed in that fallen nature because they didn't have the blood to bring them back to the state of being perfected. I said, man, how do you know all this stuff? Don't ask me. That's why I'm recording, because what I'm desiring for you guys to hear, I need to hear too. So he said, that's why I record. Because I need this, I need to walk in this truth. Just as much as you guys need to. Because once we came out from God, we were born in sin and we were shaped in iniquity. That's in the flesh realm of things. But in eternity's past, notice I said eternity's past is now. Ecclesiastes 3:14 and 15, it says, whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing shall be added to it nor taken from it. And God doeth this so men can fear before him. Whatsoever has been is now, and that which is to be has already been. So this is one of those head rattlers. It means you got to shake your head in order to get it. I'm going to say it again. Whatsoever has been is now, and whatsoever is to be has already been. So we're not going forward in time, but backwards. Now this applies strictly for the people of God that came out from God and who are going to make it back into God. This don't apply to the seed of the serpent or the children of the devil, deeper still, but only to those that hear the shepherd's voice. The sheep that hear the shepherd's voice. The goats ain't going to hear it. The seed of the serpent, that's Esau. The seed of God is Jacob, who Father Yah got a hold of and changed his nature. So we're going to be given the nature, the divine nature. And what do you mean divine nature? That's talking about blood. You know, once we are birthed into this wicked, sinful world in the flesh realm, because Adam fell, we are faced with all kinds of evils, diseases, sickness, diseases, all kinds of stuff, man, that we don't have no right to claim because that don't belong to us. We were created in Yeshua HaMashiach. And that nature don't apply to us anymore. We've been restored, renewed, and everything. All that things that happened to us in the fall of Adam don't apply to us anymore. When they come to us and tell us you got AIDS, herpes, diabetes, that ain't true for you. Once you walk in the spirit, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. He said those that are of the flesh, they do mind the things of the flesh. In other words, pay attention to it. But those that are born of the spirit, they mind the things of the spirit. Or in other words, pay attention to it. They walk in things of the spirit. They don't walk in the realities of the Adamic man. If any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. He's in Yahshua HaMashiach. I don't like using that word, God, Jesus, and Christ, because the white Roman Catholics, they contaminated all the glorious and precious things of God. And the seed of the serpent, or the children of the devil, in other words, Esau, the white man, the Gentiles, they took all the things of God and contaminated. And they were so polluted in themselves that they couldn't stand to say and pronounce the glorious, righteous name of God, Yahuwah and Yahshua. They couldn't stand to say those words, so they changed the name. Because every time they said that righteous and glorious name, they got the creeps. I don't like that name. Let's call him a pig instead. So they chose to call the Son of God, Yahshua HaMashiach. They chose to call his name a pig of the dirt, or the pig of the earth, a terror pig. So you can Google on your phone, how do you say terror pig in the Latin? It'll show you the name Jesus. So you can just Google that. But you know, like that movie, The Matrix, he said, you mean this isn't real? And then they try to use the analogy of The Matrix to show how the media on our TV is showing us only what they want us to know, and showing us things that are not true and telling us things that are true. They try to make the analogy of the reality of the things in our lives, in our world. They're not telling us. So they were saying, you mean tell me that this isn't real? Like there's another reality that is truth that we don't know, but it's talking about things of the media. But the real matrix is world that is in contrast. What do you mean by contrast? One versus the other is the spirit world. So I gotta tell my wife to cut this TV down. We cut that down. So that's the real matrix that we're talking about. They're gonna come to you and tell you that you got all these problems, AIDS, herpes, and diabetes. But your faith in the realities of God, what God says, versus what this world says, is your deliverance. We are saved by grace through faith. And then that's Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. We are saved by grace, God's grace. Least any man should boast. We're saved by grace through faith. So if you don't have no faith, you can't get and obtain and live in what God's grace provided for you. Because even though the works are finished from the foundation of the world, they didn't mix it with faith. You know, I don't know what more to say, because the truth of God overrides and overcomes the facts of man. And so, you know, when they put, like I went to the hospital yesterday because I had a checkup. I had to go get that checkup. But if I wouldn't have went, you know, they was telling me all the things that was fitting happen to me because my numbers were so high. If I wouldn't have went and I would have just kept living by faith according to what the word says, no matter what those numbers managed to say once they seen them, because I had to go there to see them, I wouldn't have been living in that what I seen by sight. We walk by faith and not by sight. I wouldn't have never been forced to see it in the first place. So I wouldn't have seen it. So I would have kept living by faith, not by sight. But they forced me to see it. But I'm going to live in this thing. You know what? I would rather die than have to come back and turn back and say that all this word that I have in over 100 videos, all this word that I have is all wrong and not true. I'd rather die first. And die how? You say, well, people that have AIDS, herpes, diabetes, that those are terminal diseases many times. And I'd rather die from that terminal horrible death. And they say you can have a heart attack, a stroke, kidney failure, whatever, go blind. All these horrible things they pronounced on Adam because Adam is a sinful man and he's bound to die. God created all the diseases, ways to make sure Adam dies. But that don't apply to me. That don't apply to me. You know, the hospitals are sitting up there like they're the Supreme Court. Like, you know, Satan said he was going to sit on the throne of God, acting like he was supreme being and in control of everything, like everything is up to him. That don't apply to the people of God. We got another Supreme Court. Whatever Satan and his cohorts pronounce on us to be true, it ain't true about us because we can appeal whatever sentence he spoke on us. Then that appeal is called a sovereign God, Yahuwah. He's my sovereignty.